Hello, in this video I'm going to look at integrating type and image using Photoshop, playing with smart objects, playing with masks, and linking layers. So the first thing we need is some imagery to work with. I have open here a Adobe stock image of some leaves. And what I'm going to do first is just kind of get these ready to play with. So I guess the easiest way to have some outlines that we can work with is to remove background. Now when I did that, some of these leaves, it worked out really nicely, and other ones not so much. So what I'm gonna do is just go in and fix this mask here. So how it works is whatever's white is opaque and whatever black is transparent. So by painting in some some white, I can reveal the original. And see, this edge is kind of fuzzy. So what I'm going to do with that is if you're on the Mac and you hold Control-Alt, you can alter the size of the brush, but also the hardness. And I want this edge to be a little harder. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is create a Photoshop file to work with. So I'm going to do New. I want it to be 7 inches by 7 inches at 300 pixels per inch so that it can print out. We'll leave RGB, all this other stuff is fine. So what I'm going to do is put my Photoshop file over here, grab my leaves, and just drag it over. So now they're in my Photoshop file. Then what I'm going to do is separate them into individual leaves, because this is a little unwieldy here. So to do that, put this back on the tab. I will make a new smart object via a copy. Go into our first one, and we'll crop out our first leaf. And I will just turn off my aspect ratio. Okay, so now I have my leaves separated. Maybe I'll make them all a little smaller. We can see them all at once. Okay, so the next thing we need is some letters. Just group these. So for that, I'm using this typeface Harpagon. We'll just make a big O. And what I like about this is the stress of this typeface is kind of on an unexpected angle, and it reminds me of this leaf shape. And when I say the stress, I have a little slide here. The stress is this axis here, right? So in a lot of typefaces, it's vertical. In older style or transitional typefaces is on these angle, whereas this typeface that I picked is aligned with the baseline here. It's also got a little contrast. So when I say contrast, I mean difference in thick and thin in the letter form. Okay, so instead of an O, let's grab an ampersand. That roughly in the middle. Okay, so then let's grab some leaves. Let's go with this one. I'll grab this leaf over here, bring it out, hide the rest. And so yeah, it's a smart object, so I can blow it up and not mess it up all the time. And so what I'm going to do is have it tuck into this like bottom swoosh thing. And so to do that, I'm going to put it above my ampersand, and I'm going to right click and say create clipping mask. That's great. So now the leaf the ampersand is kind of like a window into the leaf form. What I can do is I can have another copy of this, and this one is not going to be a clipping mask, so we'll release it on that. And now it's outside again, and what I can do is I can just link the two together like this. And this one, I'll have just a rough mask so that I will get the mask tucking in over here, and there'll be a little transitional moment where the rest of the leaf comes out. And because they're linked, if I select one, they'll both kind of move. So let's add a background to this. Layer, new, fill layer. We'll pull an eyedrop from the leaf. Just make it a lot more subtle. And then the ampersand itself can have a little tone to it. Foresty green kind of color. Like that. And then we can just keep playing with more leaves. So let's grab another one for the top. How about this one over here? I'm going to use that same clipping mask moment and grab this, use that same clipping mask moment, put it over there, hide these again. I'm going to turn off auto select because now it might be a little annoying. A little bigger, grab that kind of live edge moment. And for this one, I want to keep the edge of the leaf over there, but not have this green spot. So for that, what I can do is, now that I have this color fill, I can make a copy and put it in this clipping mask here, invert it, and just paint it back in where I need it. And if I put this under my leaf, now I have that line. And, you know, I can add some more, so over a little, proportion a little better. And I could add some other leaves if I want to just make it feel like it's falling from the sky here. How about this one? And if I want, I could play with the contrast of these leaves a little. So if I go into the smart object here, I'm going to make a copy. I'm going to set this to, actually I'm going to make a layer. I'll make this layer have no saturation. And then I will multiply this on top of the original leaf. And what this will do is create more contrast without shifting the saturation too much. Just a subtle thing. It just adds a little more contrast to that part of my image. And yeah, it's how we can kind of combine and use different parts of shapes in conjunction with each other in Photoshop.